Shiny fish. Once upon a time, in a kingdom where the castles had Wi-Fi and the princes wore cool sneakers, there lived 7 brothers. They were the king's sons, and they were always looking for something fun to do. One sunny Saturday, the eldest prince, Merrick, said, "Let's go fishing." They grabbed their high-tech rods and headed to the Crystal Lake. By the time the sun was high in the sky, they had caught 7 beautiful, shiny fish. The princes laid the fish out on a flat, warm stone to dry them for a snack later. They went off to play soccer, and when they returned, they noticed something very strange. 6 fish were perfectly dry and crispy, but the 7th fish was still soaking wet. The youngest prince, Finn, knelt down and asked, little fish, why didn't you dry like your brothers?" The fish wiggled its tail and bubbled. "The tall haystack blocked the sun, so I stayed in the shade." The princes marched over to the edge of the field where a massive haystack stood, taller than a house. "Mr. Haystack," the second prince, Evander, shouted, "why did you block the sun and keep the fish from drying?" The haystack sighed a dusty sigh. It had 2 sleepy eyes made of shadows and a mouth made of tangled straw. "It's not my fault. The cow was supposed to eat me, but she never showed up. Now I'm too tall and too heavy." The 7 princes found the cow sitting under a shady tree, looking quite bored. "Excuse me, Mrs. Cow," Merrick asked. "Why didn't you eat the haystack?" "Because of you, the fish is still wet." The cow let out a long moo. She was wearing a high-tech collar with a digital bell. "I wanted to eat, but the cowherd forgot to lead me to the field. He was too busy with his gadgets." They walked further into the meadow and found the cowherd, a boy named Pixel. He wasn't working. He was napping under a tree with his tablet lying on his chest. "Wake up," Finn cried, gently shaking Pixel's shoulder. "Why didn't you take the cow to the hay?" Pixel rubbed his eyes and yawned. "I'm so sorry. I was so hungry that I didn't have the energy to walk. My grandmother forgot to bring me my lunchbox." The princes hurried to the village kitchen, where they found the grandmother, Marilla. She looked very flustered. Pots were boiling with digital timers, and the kitchen was a mess of floating steam. "Marilla, why didn't you send Pixel his lunch?" Evander asked. She pointed to a nursery nearby. "I tried, but the baby wouldn't stop crying. I had to rock the cradle all morning and couldn't finish the cooking." The princes walked over to the little baby, who was finally quiet but had big tears in his eyes. "Little one," Finn whispered, leaning over the high-tech self-rocking cradle. "Why were you crying so loudly and stopping the lunch from being made?" The baby didn't speak, but he pointed to his little toe. A tiny red ant named Pincer was scurrying away toward a hole in the floor. The 7 princes surrounded the tiny ant. "Aha, so it was you, Pincer," Merrick said, crouching down. "Why did you bite the baby, stop the lunch, tire Pixel, starve the cow, grow the hay, and keep our fish wet?" Pincer stood up on his back legs and gave a cheeky grin. "Well," the ant chirped, "the baby put his finger right in the middle of my golden anthill house. I had to protect my home, didn't I?" The princes looked at each other and burst into laughter. They realized that in this world, everything, from a giant haystack to a tiny ant, is connected.